Okay, so we're diving right in today and tackling something that I think a lot of people can relate to. Um, feeling confident when you have to make phone calls in English.
Yeah.
And you've shared some really interesting stuff on this that looks at how to like build that confidence and just handle those kind of on the phone moments more smoothly.
Right.
And what we want to do is like pull out those key strategies so you can actually use them and make a difference.
Definitely.
So I think it's interesting because phone calls in another language just feel different, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny how like you can be, pretty okay at face-to-face conversations,
Yeah.
but then you get on the phone, it's like, oh,
It's a whole other thing. Yeah,
totally different ballgame.
totally. And like, why is that?
Well,
Let's look at some of the reasons why these calls can feel so much harder.
yeah.
Your sources pointed out a few things that I thought were really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
First one is you just lose all those visual cues. So, gestures, you're not seeing someone's mouth move,
Mm-hmm.
their facial expressions and all that stuff that kind of helps you understand better.
Exactly.
And then there's the fact that often, native speakers are going to speak really fast and kind of mush their words together.
Yeah.
Like, the classic example that always comes up is, what do you want to do? Instead of, what do you want to do?
Yeah, it's like a whole other language.
It is, right? Like,
Right.
how do our brains even keep up sometimes?
Well, that's exactly it. I think when you can't see those lip movements,
Uh-huh.
your brain has to work so much harder to process what you're hearing.
Yeah.
And then you add in like background noise.
Right.
Maybe the connection's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a real cognitive workout just to
Okay.
try to understand what's being said.
Right.
And it's interesting because actually one of your sources mentioned that something like 65% of language learners
Wow.
avoid phone calls if they can.
Really?
So it's a huge number.
Yeah, that's more than half.
Yeah. So that means that you, our listener, are part of like a pretty determined 35% who are looking for ways to get better at this.
Yeah, you're the brave ones. The
Exactly.
warriors taking on the phone.
Exactly.
So, let's get into some of these practical strategies and techniques
Okay.
that can help you feel a bit more, in control
Yeah.
and confident when that phone rings.
I think one really good place to start is to just build a collection of go-to phrases
Okay.
for common situations.
Mhm.
Because I think when you have a good idea of what to say,
Yeah.
it takes away a lot of that uncertainty and anxiety.
Right. If you feel prepared,
Yeah.
it's not so scary.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's look at some of those essential phone phrases
Okay.
that your sources pointed out. So
Yeah.
right off the bat when you're answering the phone,
Yeah.
you could go with something quite professional, like "Hello, this is your name speaking."
Yeah. Perfect.
Or if it's a more casual call, you could just say, "Hi, your name here."
Exactly.
Just something simple like that to start off on the right foot.
Yeah, just those simple opening lines
Mhm.
can really help you feel prepared
Yeah,
right from the start.
totally.
And then equally important, I think, are the phrases you can use when you're finding it difficult to follow
Oh yeah,
what someone's saying.
that happens all the time.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
So what could you say?
So if you can't quite hear someone
Mm.
or you don't quite understand what they've said,
Mhm.
it's totally okay to say something like, "Could you speak a bit slower, please?" Or if the connection's not very good, "I think we have a bad connection. Could you repeat that?"
Yeah, don't pretend you've understood when you haven't.
Definitely not.
That always ends bad.
It always ends badly. Yeah, it's much better to ask for clarification
Yeah.
than to misunderstand something important.
Yeah, you'll end up having to call back anyway and be like,
Exactly.
"Oh, actually, I didn't get that part."
Exactly.
Um, and then what about at the end of the call
Yeah.
when you're ready to hang up?
Yeah. It's good to have some polite ways to end the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some of your go-tos?
So I think things like, "Thanks for your help. Have a great day,"
Yeah.
or "I'll let you go now. Talk soon,"
Mhm.
are really nice ways
Yeah.
to just wrap things up.
Yeah, professionally and politely.
Exactly.
And I love this tip that came from your sources.
Oh, yeah.
Write down these key phrases on sticky notes
Yeah.
and keep them next to your phone.
It's such a good idea.
So simple.
Yeah.
But I think it could actually make a big difference
Yeah, I think so.
when you're like in that moment and you're kind of flustered.
Absolutely, because you don't have to think.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Right in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got those essential phrases.
Yeah.
Now, what about this technique called the 3-second rule?
The 3-second rule. This is a good one.
Okay, so this is specifically for boosting your confidence
Yeah.
before you even say a word.
Yeah.
So this is something you do before you answer the phone.
Before you even pick up the phone,
Oh.
this is what you do.
Right.
So step 1,
Mm-hmm.
you pause
Okay.
just for a few seconds
Mm-hmm.
and take a deep breath.
Okay, so just that little moment
Yeah.
to center yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think that can be really powerful.
Yeah.
Just to calm those nerves a little bit.
Well, yeah, just interrupt that kind of,
Panic.
that automatic panic.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
And then step 2,
Okay.
you smile,
Really?
put a smile on your face.
But like they can't see me?
I know it sounds strange.
Yeah.
But the act of smiling can actually change the way your voice sounds.
Really?
So it's
Yeah.
like the person on the other end of the phone can hear you smiling,
Wow.
even though they can't see you.
So even though it's like an audio medium,
Yeah.
still makes a difference.
Your physical state
Yeah.
can totally influence your vocal delivery.
So if you sound more like, I don't know, relaxed and friendly,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to come across
Yeah, you're going to sound warmer.
more approachable.
Okay.
And then the third part of the rule
Mm.
is to be prepared to confirm any important information.
Okay.
So repeat it back to the caller.
Oh, that's a good one.
So you might say something like,
Mm-hmm.
let me just confirm that's date at time. Is that correct?
Right. Okay, so not only are you making sure you've got the details right,
Mm-hmm.
but it also gives you a bit more time to process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It buys you a little bit of time.
Okay, I like it.
And one other thing I read, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently standing up,
While you're on the call.
that can make your voice clearer. What?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess when you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
when you stand up, your posture's better,
Mm-hmm.
you can breathe better,
Yeah.
so that could definitely help you
Interesting.
project your voice more clearly.
Okay, so we've got some theory here.
Yes.
But like we all know,
Yeah.
putting it into practice is a different thing.
So how do you actually get more comfortable making phone calls in English?
Well, I think the best way
Mm-hmm.
is to practice
Mhm.
different types of real life call scenarios.
Right.
And your sources had some good suggestions for this.
Okay, like what?
So they suggest doing mock calls
Okay, so you just pretend calls.
Yeah.
Okay.
with a friend or a study buddy.
Uh-huh.
And they even recommend recording yourself so that you can hear how you sound.
Right, because sometimes when you hear yourself back, it's like,
Oh, it's a shock, isn't it?
yeah, it's like, whoa, is that what I sound like?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it can be really helpful
Yeah.
to listen back objectively
Yeah.
and think about, okay, is there anything I could improve?
Mm.
Is it my pronunciation, my pacing? Am I sounding confident?
Okay.
So it's a really useful tool.
Yeah, and I think when you're thinking about those mock calls,
Yeah,
think about the kinds of calls that you actually might need to make
absolutely.
in real life.
Yeah, because that's going to help you focus your practice.
Yeah.
So for example,
Hmm.
you could practice making a restaurant reservation.
Okay.
So you might say something like, hi, I'd like to book a table for 2 people for tomorrow evening at 7 p.m.
Okay.
You could practice scheduling a doctor's appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say, I need to schedule a checkup. Do you have any available slots sometime next week?
Mm-hmm.
You could even practice work-related calls.
Right.
So something like, hi, name, I'm calling about the project deadline. Would it be possible to extend it to Friday?
Yeah, the more you do it, the more familiar it becomes.
Exactly. And the more confident you'll feel
Right.
when you have to make that real call.
Yeah.
And actually, one of your sources even mentioned some apps
Oh.
that offer simulated practice calls.
Really?
Yeah. So there are things like Speak Peak, which
Yeah.
could be fantastic
Yeah.
for getting that practice in.
Right, because it's like a safe space.
Exactly. It's low pressure. You can make
Mhm.
mistakes
Mhm.
and nobody's judging you.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great tip.
I thought so too.
So that's all great, but let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Things don't always go to plan.
No, of course not.
So what about those moments when, things go wrong?
Call disasters.
Yeah, the called disasters.
Yeah, we need a plan for those.
Yeah, we do.
But I think the first thing to remember is
Yeah.
everyone gets flustered sometimes.
Right. Even native speakers,
Even native speakers, yeah.
they're not perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Okay.
But having a few backup phrases ready can definitely help.
Yeah. Okay, so like what?
So what if you suddenly blank?
Oh, yeah.
You completely forget what you were going to say.
Yeah, your mind goes blank.
Yeah, and that happens to all of us.
It does.
One of your sources suggests saying something like,
Mm.
let me just check my notes for a moment, please.
Okay, so you're buying yourself some time.
Exactly. It just buys you a little bit of time
Yeah.
to gather your thoughts
Oh.
without feeling too put on the spot.
Okay. I like it.
What about if you realize you've called the wrong number?
Oh, yeah, that's embarrassing.
It is a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
It is.
But you can just say something simple and polite, like, oh, I'm so sorry. I must have the wrong number. Have a good day.
Right, just get off the phone.
Exactly. No need to over-explain.
Yeah.
Just apologize and move on.
Okay, and then I think we've all been there as well. That moment when you accidentally hit the mute button.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
And you're like talking away and nobody can hear you.
And you realize, and you're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
How long have I been talking to myself?
So how do you recover from that?
I think something like, apologies, I was on mute. Could you just repeat that last part?
Okay, so just acknowledge what happened.
Yeah, be brief, be clear, and move on.
Right.
And one other thing I wanted to mention,
Mm-hmm.
your sources talked about a really interesting cultural difference.
Oh.
So apparently, in the U.S., it's quite common to have a bit of small talk
Right.
at the beginning of a phone call before you get down to business.
Yeah.
Whereas in the U.K., people often prefer to get straight to the point.
Oh, interesting.
So just being aware of those kinds of differences
Mm-hmm.
can help you navigate conversations more effectively.
Yeah, it's like setting those expectations.
Yeah, and understanding what's considered normal.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive
Mm-hmm.
into, mastering phone calls,
Yeah.
remember that every single time you pick up the phone
Yeah.
and have a conversation in English,
Yeah.
you are learning and improving.
You are.
Even those moments where you have to ask someone to repeat themselves
Yeah.
are actually making you stronger.
Absolutely.
And the goal is to get to a point where you answer the phone and you're like, I can do this,
Exactly.
rather than feeling nervous or apprehensive.
Yeah, feeling confident
Yeah.
and prepared.
And to help you with that,
Yeah.
we have a little mission for you this week.
Okay, I like that.
So this is inspired by your sources. And the challenge is to make one intentional phone call sometime this week.
Okay, one phone call
Yeah.
in English.
Yeah, it could be something really simple, like calling a local store to ask about their opening hours.
Yeah.
But the key is to try and use at least two of the phrases
Oh, good idea.
that we talked about today.
Yeah.
And afterwards, just think about how it went.
Mm-hmm.
What felt good?
Yeah, what went well?
What could you do better next time?
Exactly.
And you can even share your experiences using the hashtag phone call win.
Oh, I love that.
I loved that example from your sources about someone who called a cafe to ask about their vegan options.
Oh, yeah.
And they felt great because they were understood.
It's amazing how those small interactions
Yeah.
can really boost your confidence.
Absolutely.
And it's all about making progress.
Yeah.
Not about being perfect.
Right.
Straight away.
Exactly. And I think on that note,
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave you with this lovely quote
Oh, yeah?
from one of your sources. A phone call is just a conversation with a little magic distance.
Love